both. I just went for that.
I'm sorry. You could just hand that over. I've connected one of those up in probably 20 years. Yeah. Oh, those are phone net connectors. From Fairlawn, yeah. They're not the local talk locking connector case. Go to the whole box. The locking connector. The Apple one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, those not too much. They were expensive. Yes, they were expensive.
They still
are.
Yeah. Extra still works.
Part of it, yeah. I got over the conceptual part. Okay. So a couple phone calls with Michael Day and did a bunch more experimentation. I was talking to him. Yeah, I would say you should just call the guy who knows. I was like, but he's a guy. You can't call a guy. You can't. But yeah, he was happy to talk about it. I bet. And he said to say hi to everybody. He likes us. I wasn't going to pass him, but I hope he does.
Yes. What are the procedures this year to get files uploaded to the Kansasfest website?
I would say email them to Peter.
Okay.
And he'll do it.
Okay.
He may not do it fast, but he'll do it eventually.
Which information I mentioned that. Thank you very much.
That's a piece of code.
It's got LEDs and power/transmit/receive collision and jabber.
I'll try to remember to give you 5-minute warning near the end.
I'll be over.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We talked already.
Yes. Actually, do get to the end.
If you happen to get super talking and you get close to the end, I will try to warn you.
There's 50 whole live demos, so we know how that goes.
Yep.
Especially with
I don't know.
Well, I know. I know what these last ones.
Test, test. Welcome back from lunch. While you're absorbing your gourmet repast, Jeff Weiss is going to tell us all about Postscript and printing to a real printer on the 2GS.
All right, okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm not able to get full screen working, but we'll still be able to do the slideshow through a window, so there'll be some noise on the screen. Please ignore that. My name is Jeff Weiss. I will be talking about Postscript printing on the Apple IIgs. And we'll be looking at this from printing on a real computer. And I'll also be touching on how to generate PDF documents using the LaserWriter driver, using the results of the LaserWriter driver, so one could effectively be creating PDF documents from the Apple IIgs. So, in the past year, there has been, I saw at least one report of an HP LaserJet Pro 4000 series having issues printing from an Apple II. It turned out that I misread what the initial report was, but I got my hands on a LaserJet 4000 series printer and connected up through AppleTalk printing. It does not have serial printing support like some of the early Apple LaserWriter printers. Connected it up. The computer at the time was running either System 601, 604, doesn't really matter. They're identical in terms of the driver. And we'll see in a little bit the result that I got. So, in order to do AppleTalk printing on HP LaserJets, especially, more specifically, models from the 90s, 2000 time period, you need to have a printer with an EIO slot, which in the EIO slot you have a card, a JetDirect card. If you get the 600 series card, it will have a local talk port on it, as well as Ethernet. The Ethernet will support TCP/IP printing, as well as EtherTalk printing. Go back here. In order to connect the printer to the computer, a local talk connection is going to be needed. I'm going to be using PhoneNet. Well, I have PhoneNet set up right now. Other options is if you just want to do a single direct connection between the printer and the computer, you can use a standard Apple 8-pin DIN serial cable. It will work as local talk in that situation. As well as Apple had made a bunch of local talk transceivers that can be used to connect computers on a local talk network. Those items at the time when they were made were very expensive. Even today they're very expensive. PhoneNet was chosen because at the time they were cheap, and today they're still cheap. You can get a PhoneNet transceiver for $5 or even less. So, looking at PhoneNet, 2 transceivers are needed. There will be a standard RJ45, I think. Phone 45? RJ11, thank you. Yeah, 45 is Ethernet. RJ11 telephone wire, make sure it's 4-pin wire. Connect between 2 boxes. Also, you want to terminate both the 2 ends, so make sure you have a terminator. It's basically a resistor inside an RJ11 phone connector. And that's the telephone, that's why it's called phone, from PhoneNet. Then you have the standard 8-pin DIN connector that will connect to the serial port / local talk port on your 2GS. So printing, as I said, the driver from 601 to 604 is identical. In order to install local talk printing, you go into the installer, you want to make sure you choose these 4 items: the System 6 hard disk or FDHD, font sol, network printer namer, and printer laser writer. Specifically, if you have a 256 meg 2GS, otherwise known as the ROM 1, make sure you remove the easy access from your system setup. I recommend that because even though that provides more look and feel with ROM 3 hardware, there's many pieces of software that's not compatible with the way the easy access was designed for ROM 1. So you'll find some software will break. If you remove it, you'll find the software won't break. So I'll just talk through this, then we'll go through the demo. So when you boot the computer up, you need to select the printer because you just now have a new network. You have a new printer on the network, so it needs to be selected for applications to see. So go to the control panel, open up the net printer control panel. It'll take a few moments for the outlook network to be scanned. It'll find a new laser writer, but because this is not an Apple printer, it will display with the appropriate name of the device, and then you'll select the printer, and then you'll be able to print from 2GS applications. I'm going to provide a spoiler right now. When I first did this, it turned out it didn't print. So we're going to go through the process that I followed to troubleshoot, to get the error message, troubleshoot the error message, and what had to be done to fix this problem. And after this, we'll be looking at, as an added bonus, how to make a PDF file using Postscript on a modern computer from the results of the laser writer driver. So a 2GS user could result with a PDF document. All right, switch over. So what I have here is System 604. As I mentioned, in order to select the printer, control panels, and we're going to the blazing speed of an Apple 2GS. Select that printer, open it up, and since the printer has been on, the network has been up for a while, the printer will show up immediately. If you had just booted up the computer and then turned the printer on afterwards, it will take a few moments. So I do not recall what the actual original name of the printer was. The 2GS does have the support of naming the printer, name it whatever you want. So over in the control panel, you have namer, and Apple provided the ability to rename this printer, and it will always show up on the local talk network as the name you gave. So I had a couple different printers for testing and seeing what it looked like having multiple printers on a local talk network, and I had to make sure I named each printer individually to make sure I knew which one was which. So this is a customized name, and this is not what the default name is. So it detected a laser writer, or the way to interpret that is it detected a Postscript printer. And all you have to do is select the printer, and that's all you have to do. So this is default System 604. And I can prove that. Well, you have to trust me that it is, but it does say System 604. So let's go into it. Since 604 comes with Teach, this is what it was used for testing, so it's quick and dirty. So let's do a test, and let's go ahead and print. I do have this printer configured slightly differently from how it comes with the default. When I first did this step, the printer had a blinking data light, which you can't tell over there, but there's a blinking data light, and then it stopped. Obviously now you can hear the printer starting up and spitting out a page. This printer was configured slightly differently, so I can get some better output. This JetDirect card does have the ability to provide a stack trace of an error. So I did enable that. And once I enabled that and sent a print document from the TGS, I now have a stack trace of the postscript of what is wrong. Well, now I know at least the TGS is successfully sending data to the printer, but there's something wrong with the postscript that Apple computers put in the driver for this printer to understand. So, well, let's test this with some other printers, just to make sure, to see if the driver's buggy. Had a chance to print it to a one of the Postscript 2 model Apple laser writers. I don't remember which one, 360 or something like that, and it prints successfully. So obviously, that means this printer is Postscript level 2 versus the early Apple laser writers, which were Postscript level 1. When Apple designed this driver, they designed it for level 1. But because some of Apple's level 2 printers work, and one of the changes Apple specifically made in 601 was improved compatibility with level 2 PostScript. It was in the release notes. So, that gives some clues that. That does give some clues. So seeing this, I'm looking at the output. And I don't know PostScript. I'm familiar with some of the stack-based languages, but not PostScript. So what do you do next? Next thing to do is, what happens if we try a different laser writer driver? So what I'm going to do is, let's see, over here, is try System 6.0. Take the laser writer driver from 6.0, put it in here, and well, I'll tell you what, I'll to save time, because then I'll do with the computer and have the driver load. If I do that, it will print successfully, which then that gives a weirder question mark. Why does the non-optimized level 2 driver work on a level 2 printer, but the optimized level 2 driver not work? One of the things that I had done back in 2002, working on a different project, was to disassemble the laser writer driver. I just realized that, give me a second, I didn't move the icon over. So, as well, it's for this time, open this up, I've had access to the source. Oops. Hard disk. So we load the binary. Then we're going to have to load the template, which I have. I will be making this template available for those who have the Orca disassembler. And this template works, as I said, for the driver from 6.1 to 6.4, since it's all the same version. So through here, this gives an understanding of how the laser writer driver works. The project that I had started on never got finished, but I do have this initial perspective. Again, no idea how the PostScript language works. High level, yes, but actual details, no. So, as an Apple II user, if we have something that doesn't work, what do? We fix it. All right. So, it actually took about a month, not continuously, but on and off, a couple hours here this week, a couple hours that week, sometimes a few more hours, to try to figure out this whole PostScript nonsense. And like, how does this really work? Why is there a bug yet? So, let me go back one step. What was the change between System 6.0 and System 6.01? The change for the level 2 compatibility, the change there was the change that I can't remember if there's 1 or 2 changes for the level 1, level 2, but the change that seemed to be the most obvious, which matched the Postscript dump, which was the important clue, was the color generation, color/grayscale. Postscript level 2 had a different way of generating, I'm trying to remember the words, a hash pattern for grays. Level 1 doesn't support grayscale, it's only black and white, but to simulate gray, you do it has a simulated hash pattern, so it does a pattern.
Yeah.
Well, it's a halftone, that was the word, thank you, yes. So it was a halftone map. The halftone map code between level 1 and level 2 are incompatible. So, okay, this becomes a clue. So now I'm diving in, using Postscript to start editing the code, and what was odd was Postscript worked with both 6.0, 6.01 drivers. So if Postscript works, and I assume, well, it was bizarre that Postscript works, this printer doesn't, other printers have been known to work. And all right, start diving into trying to figure out Postscript. A month later, after doing lots of Google searching to try to figure out what other people around that time were doing for halftones, and specifically how to provide compatibility with a halftone map with level 1, level 2, I ran across a output document, a Postscript output document from Adobe, one of the Adobe products of the time, that had a layout that was very similar to Apple's LaserWriter driver. And looking at how it's pushing and popping elements on the stack, I said, oh, look at that, it was doing stuff on the stack differently, with very general, broad strokes. So I rewrote the code for the halftone map using, it wasn't just a one-to-one check, because the stack, the assumptions that the Adobe code had was a little bit different from Apple, so once you readjust that, plop it in, assemble it, and it works. So we're going to go see this work now. Okay, make sure I got the right one. So now we have to go through the weight of this reboot. Yes.
I came in late, but is current technology and laser printers still using Postscript, or is it using something else?
Great question. Many printers, I don't know if I can say most, but many printers do have Postscript. More and more printers are, well, I was about to say something and realized that I cannot with certainty say that. But if you look at the specification for printers, if a printer has Postscript, it'll be Postscript level 3. And Postscript level 3 halftone support is backwards compatible with Postscript level 2. I have yet to test this driver out with Postscript level 3. But yes, as Postscript, I expect, but as you have to look at the specifications, is the short answer. HPs still have are still labeled. I can't guarantee that the cheap consumer models, but the business class models still have Postscript compatibility.
Well, from my experience, the printers last forever.
Yeah.
You find one, and even if it's 15 years old, it's still working.
Just give me 1 second, I'll pull up that thought. But modern day printers won't have local talk connectors or the EIO. But yes.
Oh, I was just going to say that like, in theory you could set up a cup server like on another computer in your network or something.
Okay.
And you then use that as a translator between Postscript and a newer printer that may not use.
And that was NetCap?
Oh no, it's cups.
Oh, cups. Cup printer. Well, cups. The thing with cups is you still need a local talk connection between the 2GS and the printer, and that's one of the missing pieces to try to get more modern devices. But
could you use something like a Dana Etherprint or something if you pick it up?
A Dana Etherprint?
Yeah, that's local talk to Ethernet.
Great question. I don't have any experience with the local talk to EtherTalk adapters, or if I'm not using the right term, what the actual term is. I don't know.
I'll give you a quick answer.
Okay, we have an answer.
There are several versions of those Etherprint driver boxes. The Dana Etherprint, there's the plastic box ones usually do not work on a 2GS.
The metal ones
do. And they will convert the network perfectly. You can use, if the printer will take your AppleTalk, your Postscript, it'll print it. And if the ones that don't work, what happens is you get most of the way through the boot section in GSOS, and you get a really hard, nasty crash.
So it's the plastic Dyna Talk works.
Metal ones.
Oh, metal, sorry. Again,
And
for those who are
it
listening.
continues to impress me to this day that a box plugged into the serial port outside can totally crash the computer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just regarding printers, the general rule is consumer printers are either so-called WIN printers that basically just take raw graphical data, or if you're lucky, or if you're going to do a little nicer, support PCL. A lot of business printers do support Postscript. Like you were saying, look at the specs. A lot of brands won't actually say Postscript because they didn't license it from Adobe. They did their own thing. For example, Brother uses PRScript, but that's Postscript.
Yeah.
So yes, the summary is look at the specs. There may be some alternatives to the new Postscript on some printers. So Google, double check. PCL is not Postscript. A lot of the printers have Postscript emulation under PCL, but that usually doesn't cause a problem. Usually is the key word here. All right, so I rebooted, got the driver loaded, and I want to make sure I have the printer detected. Go through this step. Got the printer. So let's print a document, and I'm very confident that this will now work.
Except for the demo guys, of course.
And now I'm being threatened that the deities of demos will cause much embarrassment.
As the page comes out of the turn.
And we have, for those who can read this works. So I will be making this beta driver available on the Kansasfest website. I'll be making the disassembler template available for those who want to take a look at how the laser writer printer driver works internally. My comments, notes, etc. in it are in some areas better than other areas. But I don't like sharing what I've done. So now we're going to switch back. So that's the real 2GS side of things. We're going to switch over to an emulator. All right. So what I'm going to do is to get the so one of the features of the Postscript printing is, one of the features of the laser writer driver is the ability to save Postscript files to disk instead of sending the document to the printer. So I'm going to go through an exercise of that. I'm going to load a document here. What I'm going to load is the Jabberwocky Lewis Carroll. It's licensed, it's no copyright, so we can use this. To print, so we have the standard print dialog box. In order to create a file, one has to hold down Open Apple F and then OK, and then click OK. I have noted that it doesn't always work the first time, so we'll see how many times we have to do this before we get the document. It works this time. Good. So the reason why the Find dialog box showed up was because the Open Apple F key was being held down. So how can we check that the document got written? Well, there was no error message, is one. Number two, because since I'm in Teach, I can look at text files. So I'm going to go look at where the file got saved. The file will always be saved in the boot hard disk system drivers, and I forgot to delete the last file before I started the demo. So it wrote the Postscript GSO1 and want to prove that it just got created. We can go look at the time date stamp of this. And it was done 2:40 p.m., so we know that it was done just a moment ago. Or either that, I was cleverly knew how long this process was going to take. So now I'm going to do wave my hands and get this file onto the host system. So waving my hands to do this. We have this file in the directory right here. I did magic. I copied the file initially. I don't have a mechanism on the system right now to quickly get the document from a disk image onto the host system. And the magic was supposed to have been the same file name, but it got renamed magically as well to Postscript. We have the document right here. Make this a little bit larger so everyone can see. That's not going to work. You have to trust me that this is Postscript GS00. All right. So the next step is to convert the file to a PDF. The Go script comes with a command called PS, the number 2 PDF, PS2 PDF. As what the name says, is Postscript to PDF. This command does check the file name to make sure it has a file name extension of .ps. The default file comes from the 2GS, doesn't have that, so let's rename the file. And using a Unix-like operating system.
Jeff?
Yes?
Does that support the graphics in Postscript or just text?
Great question. If the demo I'm going to do is just graphics, if people want, I can extend the time and we can do a whole graphic. No, I don't. We can do a graphics exercise as well. But I'm going to just wave my hand and say graphics will work. As long as the 2GS program that you're using supports the Open Apple F to save the file to disk, it will support graphics as well. I should note that there are quite a number of 2GS programs out there that does not provide this compatibility. These programs are trying to be clever by doing some detection of the port device to make sure it's online. Because if you're on with an emulator without a printer connected, the port is offline, and the application may fail not generating a file. So there's a Google search can, with the right terms, can show some past forum talk of what works, what doesn't work. If not, start asking me questions and people can help. So yes.
So to clarify, graphic doesn't have to be created only on GS. It can be created on any other platform. It could be exported back to the GS for printing.
The question was, if you have a graphic on another platform, can it be printed from the 2GS to do this step? The answer is, with a few extra steps in there, yes. If you take a graphical from another system, bring it to the 2GS, convert it into a 2GS graphic format, load it into an Apple 2GS program that can display it, print it with a compatible, in a program that's compatible to print with the LaserWriter driver that will save a file, then copy the file back to your modern system, and then you can do that, yes. It should be noted that the LaserWriter driver is monochrome only, grayscale / monochrome. So you will lose color. So continuing on with this, I'm going to rename the file with a PS extension. I'm going to then do PS2 PDF, the new file. I'm going to open Apple keys on a non-Apple computer. Having switch operating systems. All right, so I converted the file. Now I'm going to use Postscript to view this. I'm cheating by using the command line because it's faster. And the command is GS. And there we have a documented, coming from a 2GS. Oh, that's the Postscript version of it. Then you just prove that we have the PDF version of it. So I want to run cheating by running the PDF viewer manually. And here we have the PDF document that essentially came from the output of a 2GS. And I will be providing this as well with the documentation, with everything else from this demo.
That's really nice.
Any other questions? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. So I know your schedule says that Tony's presentation starts at 2, but Jeff warned me that he might go a little short. Sometimes Tony goes a little long, so we thought we'd just roll into Tony's presentation and give him a little extra time. So that's what we're going to do. Tony's going to come up and talk about a smorgasbord of Apple II things, which are always interesting. Tony says he needs about 5 or 6 minutes for setup, so if you've got time for water and a beer break or whatever.
You need to disconnect these two?
Oh, please, yes. I need to show you what sheets are.
You need space? Because there's a table here.
Actually, because I don't know what to do with it. I mean, that's not, sorry. I love that you gave it to me. I love that I have it. I don't know the best way to use it.
That one there. When he moves out of the way, it's fine.
And you don't need the projector, right?
I need a projector.
You do need the projector. Okay. Well, this one will work. We could do the small one if you prefer that.
You've probably seen this one.
Okay.
You know, I had it.
I just pointed out
Where do you want this?
about where close to the projector.
Oh, got it.
Because I can see him behind you.
Okay, I'll just wait for you.
So she's the captain, and I'm keeping a couple of notes.
Other things.
You have a lot to talk about, so. And you asked for an hour originally, and then we couldn't give it to you, and then Jeff came and referred to me and said, I don't really need my whole
You want to
slot.
take the monitor?
So thanks for coming down.
Okay. Yeah, just keep that.
Yes. Yeah, so we would, within 48 hours, we just.
So you'll have, yeah, I think till 2:45. I'll make absolutely sure. And I'll give you a 5-minute period at the, near the end.
Oh, that's yes, the uniforms.
Exactly. To get myself X amount of time for each little area.
I just saw the free card.
So my 15-minute one, which was a compressed version of the 2-hour version.
Oh, kilobytes.
At Kansasfest in Australia was the lightning talk. Wow.
Megabytes, kilobytes, what's the difference?
There's a lot more to that, but it's also leaves the mind open for it.
People can come talk to you.
I do that all the time. So kilobytes, megabytes. Yeah, this Apple's got 2 gigabytes now. I mean, what?
I was getting mixed up between kilohertz and kilobytes.
Kilobytes.
So I'm doing service.
It's nice. The monitors fit in the banker's box. Damn near perfect.
Yep.
You have to remember that. Because I can get those to stack the monitors. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
This stuff gets posted. Send me
You mean before the talks get posted?
before the video gets posted of mine.
Yeah, the radio station.
I'm likely to forget to do that. Probably you should contact Jason directly.
Tell everybody.
Write it.
Just make sure that somebody knows.
Given my state, this Kansasfest is remembering things. I would not rely on me.
Harbor.
What's that?
Doors. Then I can put the stuff on the floor and pick it up because nobody can see what's coming.
There you go.
Except for these mystery boxes, they're just going to sit.
I'll be right back. So you still have some settings to do.
I'm not on the commission, but I do volunteer. And I've been tweeting my ass. I have found that. Well, I find that when I just my nature.
Share and invite. Helping out, yeah.
This together.
Oh.
Sometimes I do it live and go. The last one I read
Talking to then I just happened to randomly pick up Whoa! You alright?
Yeah.
You good?
Fall so many times.
Not you know yet.
Is there a wolf TNG and a wolf on the other side?
I have a whole box.
One foot out.
So I could fill my entire.
Maybe rotate that like
So when you're looking at
Has anybody got a 2C monitor 9-inch ET monitor that you can use for a visual prop.
We can all imagine one in our heads.
I could run upstairs and get one.
That would be cool.
I can pretend to be one.
Do you need power as well?
No, I just need the monitor on the stand preferably, but the monitor by itself is great.
I'll be right back.
I will not start without that.
You cannot start with that.
Oh.
A little bigger.